Hey everybody, so I don't usually do these things because I hate the way I look on a webcam, but I decided to do one because I just passed 100 followers. Actually, it's more like 150 now. My glasses are so crooked right now. So I figured I would do one, and I have a couple of questions, so I will answer those and try not to look at myself in the webcam, because otherwise I will delete this. So, my name is Lindsay. I don't know how many of you actually know that, but that is my actual name. Some of you do because some are in the questions. Um, so somebody asked what my favorite type of threads to do, and does it vary with my other muses that I've done? Um, I don't really have favorite types of threads. If it's long, it's going to take me a long time to do them. That's just the way I am. Because my writing style, I don't like to sound like I have a writing style because I don't feel like RP means you're a great writer necessarily. Not that that's a slight on anybody, but just my personal preference. And I always think of Nick on New Girl when he's telling the story about what happened in college with Michael Keaton, and he says that he's Hemingway, and that's why he's so concise in his storytelling. So I like to say I'm Hemingway because I don't have a lot of detail. I don't like to do a lot of thought in my paras, meaning like I don't like it to say like and then serious thought X, Y, and Z because that doesn't help the other player. And if anything, it's a crutch because the other player shouldn't know. But I don't really have a favorite type of thread. Obviously, angst is all I do. I don't do fluff very well. And if anyone has read any of my fluff threads and seen what's become of them, you understand why. I'm also really conscious right now that I'm talking with my hands, and you can't see my hands all the time on the webcam, and it's really distracting me. So I just thought I'd share that. The next question, oh, and in terms of my other muses, if it varies, no, not really. Everybody I've ever played has been a big angst machine. I don't think I tried to play Alice Longbottom as, like, not an angst machine, and it didn't last very long. She was supposed to be, like, if Neville and Hermione were the same person. So she had Neville's personality, but Hermione's smarts. And that was supposed to be funny and fluffy, and nobody really cared. In terms of other fandoms, I had, like, a Claire Novak for Supernatural, who basically went insane and was trying to kill all the angels. She was a lot of fun, but she was a big angst machine. And then I had like a Mary Winchester, who was also post-death, so she was an angst machine. And then I had an OC who is only special to me because of the time I'm my girlfriend. But he was the love child of John Winchester and Jack Harkness because it was from a Super Who RP. And he was also a big ball of angst. So I don't really do fluff. So then the next question was, how tall are you, and are you taller or shorter than Sirius? I'm 5'10". I'm sitting on the floor right now because I like it when the webcam is just slightly above my head because I have a really big head. I don't even mean fat, I just mean like the actual size of my head is very large. So I'm 5'10". Technically, if we use movie as canon, I am then taller than Sirius because Gary Oldman is only 5'8". It also makes me substantially taller than Daniel Radcliffe. In terms of my conception of Sirius, I always think he's probably in the 6 foot to 6'1" range, because we get that impression from Harry that he's tall. I take that with a grain of salt because Harry's a kid, and we have reason to believe Harry, at least at the 3rd year, is still a little bit short. So I don't think he's abnormally tall, but I do think he's tall. So I usually put him at 6 foot 6'1". But weirdly, depending on the circumstance, I tend to think of him as smaller or bigger. So when he's really, like, depressed post-Azkaban, I kind of think of him as being smaller than Remus, which would make Remus really tall, and there's no reason to think Remus is really tall. It's more of an emotional size difference. So I think you can seem a lot taller than you are, you can seem a lot shorter than you are, depending on the circumstance. And then the last question is, do you prefer writing as male or female characters? And do you prefer interacting with one gender over the other? No, I don't really have a preference. I happen to have more male muses because they tend to take off, which is probably a commentary on the role-playing community. But in my Supernatural days, I had a lot of female muses. I probably had more female muses than male muses, because I had Mary Winchester and Claire Novak, as I mentioned. I've done some female Harry Potter ones. I had a Helena Ravenclaw for a while that no one really talked to. I had an Alice Longbottom no one really talked to. I had a female OC that I just got depressed over because I thought I'd had this really original idea, and then it turned out everyone had already had it like a long time before me, which was a Voldemort kid. I hadn't been in the fandom very long, and I just didn't realize that they were everywhere. And I had a Ginny for a little while who was, again, a big ball of angst because I had her institutionalized following Chamber of Secrets because she'd gone crazy. I'm not very good at not making people angsty, but I don't have a preference writing them. It doesn't change my approach necessarily. I think that, you know, yes, there's differences between male and female, and it has to do with how the society views them. So if I were to write, like I had an Andromeda for a while, she's similar to Sirius because they're both blacks, so they were raised with very similar ideals, but at the same time, Andromeda knows her place to a point. I don't mean that in a really negative way. I don't think that way in real life about women, but that's how their society is in my head. So it changes how they say things a little bit, but I don't know, it's never really bothered me. I've never put much thought into male versus female. It's probably something I realize more as I'm writing. In terms of interacting with one gender over the other, I don't care as far as regular threads go, whether they're talking to a male or a female. I don't really care about shipping. I basically ship Sirius as Pan. He'll sleep with anyone. Just because I find that, you know, chemistry tends to happen in unusual places. Although usually he identifies as gay in his younger years because of Remus. But I think I don't write smut anymore on Tumblr because it makes me uncomfortable, because it's so public. But I think I'm, in that regard, better at writing male on male smut than female on female, or male on female, which is weird because, as I said, I have a girlfriend. So I should know the ins and outs of female and female sex better than I do, but I don't. At least not to write it. I'm bad at describing it. And when I used to have my Claire account, she was a lesbian, and I did write smut at the time, and I just always felt like it was bad, like it wasn't good. But in terms of regular writing, I don't care. All this swaying on my shoulders is because I'm swinging my hands out of frame like a crazy person. I flail my arms like Matt Smith. So yeah, that's it. No one else asked anything else. But I appreciate the questions I got, and this is coming in under 10 minutes, which is probably good, and I appreciate you watching it if you did.